it's the studio system that's being destroyed, right? I mean, I just saw a Twitter post that I put out there where someone says, I just called CAA to find out if my agent still works there. And this has become an ongoing thing where the agents, like people are like, I don't know if I still have an agent or not if that person works there.
Welcome to another CG garage where the monstrous moon shines. We're building New Hollywood like in 1971's prime. From auteurs' bold dreams to AI's fever dream, where tech meets the silver or LED screen. Pixels and passion are pipelines unknown to host one show on a deadline postponed.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the CG Garage. This is episode number 561, which is going to be one of our rough cut episodes featuring our good friend, Mr. Todd Perry, who's going to join us for part of the conversation. This is going to be divided into two sections. The first section is going to be mostly about current events that are going on, where Todd is perfectly suited to join us for this conversation. The first part is going to be specifically about box office. Obviously, Spider-Man broke all kinds of box office records, and that implies a lot specifically on conversations we've had in the past. The second part of it is going to be about the acquisition of ArtStation and Sketchfab that was sold by Epic to Kitbash 3D and Grayscale Gorilla. What does that mean in terms of what Epic's doing? What does that mean in terms of Kitbash 3D? And what happened to ArtStation? ArtStation at one point was one of the biggest websites on the internet itself. So really kind of an interesting thing to think about. We also talk about Siggraph and how Siggraph has diminished quite a bit in attendance, but yet still remains one of the most important academic shows or conferences out there in terms of computer graphics. And then we also talk about the EU and how the EU has specifically been sort of asking everyone to label all of their content with C2PA. And what does that actually mean for people? Are movies going to have to start putting C2PA digital watermarks into their movies? It's going to be really interesting to think about. Okay, and then the second part of the episode is going to be Todd specifically wanted to talk about the ethics of being a visual effects supervisor on set. How do you interact with other departments? What are the most important things you need to do? This is very interesting information. A lot of people who work on set kind of know this information, but if you've never done it, you might want to listen up because this is kind of an important part of the process of filmmaking. So I thought it was a really, really good thing to talk about. In terms of events, we do have a new TikTok open. If you guys are on TikTok, we'd love to see it. It's just tiktok.com/@CGGaragePodcast, tiktok.com/@CGGaragePodcast. I also am about to put out a brand new blog post specifically about our June-July proof of concept short that we've been doing. And the proof of concept is really interesting. We used a lot of interesting things to do it. The blog post is called Old Glass and New Light, and really sort of interesting talk about how to film this and virtual production and all the different tools we used. It's basically based on the Siggraph talk that I gave, and it went really, really well. So I figured you guys might be interested in seeing that as well. Just go to monstrousmoonshine.tv/blog, and it should be up in the next week or so. So just make sure and check out our blog there. Again, monstrousmoonshine.tv/blog. But for now, please enjoy episode number 561.
This episode of CG Garage is sponsored by CenterGrid Virtual Studio. Wondering why you went to film school just to be stuck managing hardware life cycles? CenterGrid delivers end-to-end GPU-accelerated cloud workstations built specifically for VFX and creative production, with flat, predictable pricing and personalized support from people who actually get your workflow. Plus, CenterGrid is TPN Gold Shield certified, so your studio's security is locked down. Check out what Virtual Studio can do for your pipeline at cgvirtualstudio.com.
Like I said, Todd, you are going to be part of our hot takes. We call these the rough cut. these things where we're talking about series that are going on. Yeah, and you had some things that we wanted to discuss just to get everyone a heads up. Yeah, you wanted to discuss sort of the ethics of being a VFX supervisor on set, and I think that's a great subject that a lot of people should learn from.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in the second half of the podcast. But because there's a lot of news that happened right now in the industry, and you're the kind of person that could really help us discuss some of that news, I figured you're going to be great for this rough cut part, and you will have, I'm sure, some opinions about this. So let's start with a couple of things. Let's talk about the box office right now.
Yep.
I mean, Daniel and I have been talking about box office and how it's been slightly unpredictable, but a very predictable thing happened. Spider-Man, or I guess it's unpredictable in some ways, because people thought that, some people, including ourselves, things like superhero films are not doing well, but Spider-Man is still a subject, man, that people love it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only doing well, it is the biggest grossing opening weekend of all time.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys' thoughts about that, and how that juxtaposes everything else that's happening in 2026 with like movies like Obsession and, Backrooms and Project Hail Mary, original content, all that stuff. So what's your guys' thoughts on all this?
Do you want to go, Daniel, or do you want me to?
Oh, take it away. If you got something, go for it. Absolutely.
All right. So this is a multi-pronged issue, I think. Because we have such a variety of movies that did well. So Project Hail Mary is science fiction, and Obsession is horror, and Backrooms is kind of thriller horror, maybe. Mm-hmm. It kind of lives into a genre unto itself. The Odyssey is, I don't know
classic.
What you call it. Classic, historical.
Sure. It's not Oppenheimer, though.
Historical.
Yeah.
Sure.
And technically, I guess you could argue that it's IP, but it's 2,000-year-old IP.
It's the longest running IP I've ever heard of.
I believe it's way longer than 2,000 years. I believe it's closer to 3,000 or 4,000. Yeah,
this is a great reboot, though. For a reboot, this is pretty good.
And then there's Spider-Man, so superhero, etc. So you have multiple genres, but the idea is that all of these are compelling to an audience. They're all kind of unique. They're experiences. They're things that people want to share with one another and encourage people. You should go see this in the theater, type of thing. And so that kind of points to, well, if you write and make a good movie, then people will go to it. You also have to kind of market it. Don't forget that Toy Story's in there as well.
Right. Boy, that people said, hey, that's a good movie. And then crickets. I mean, I remember Toy Story used to be like months of stories around Toy Story 1 and 2 and 3. And after that, now I think
we got kind of set. We got eclipsed by other movies. So the Odyssey came in, and then there was discussions about, oh, this is great. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, I watched it in this format. No, I watched it in this format, and that's better. And why is this person black? And so there's all kinds of discussions around this that just kind of went, yeah, Toy Story 5 was good, but now we have this other thing to talk about. Now, as far as Spider-Man goes, I think that it came back because Marvel ratcheted back, they geared down on how much content they were creating. And so we're no longer super saturated with Marvel movies, both on streaming and in the theater. And so there was this kind of wait time. There was this anticipation time. There was this thing that happened when we were growing up in the 80s and so forth, where it was like, okay, this movie came out and now I want to see another movie, and it's going to be 3 years.
Yeah, it gives you time to whet your appetite. You're like, oh man, when's the next Star Wars coming? It's going to be forever. Yeah, exactly. Right, Yeah.
And so you have this discussion that starts up, and you have this anticipation that starts up, and Spider-Man has been a favorite superhero forever. Because he's an underdog, he's a weakling, he's a nerd, and he suddenly gets these superpowers and becomes a hero. And there are things about, there are themes about, when you have great power, you have great responsibility. There are all kinds of universal things that people attach to.
Right. So, okay, couple things. I think you got us some great subjects. First of all, leave more breathing room between your franchises, right, and your IP. So that's a good one, right?
Yeah.
And also, if one of the reasons that Spider-Man might be a bigger story than, let's say, Captain America or anything else, is that the character is more relatable in some ways, right? So that also helps. So that gives gives credibility. It's not just because Spider-Man succeeds doesn't mean that Captain America will succeed or Hulk will succeed or something like that, right? Spider-Man has a theme that's more important than its IP, maybe?
Yeah. I think that there's something to, like, Spider-Man has always been handled as a slightly different property than the rest of Marvel, and I think part of it is because it was a separate thing because of Sony.
Yeah. Well, it was Sony and then Marvel, and then there's this juxtaposition, right? So,
right, and so it's always been sort of like a little off to the side, and for a while it was doing well by association, but then you had things like Into the Spider-Verse and stuff, like sort of adding more and more velocity and more energy to the character and license itself, and bringing more people on board in important ways. And but the story, like the entire home arc that they've played out with Tom Holland, is relatively self-contained, and it supports him as a character as opposed to 19 characters all going into Endgame. So like there's something a little bit more I don't know, like it's less of a superhero IP and more it's Spider-Man. Like, it's like you think of Spider-Man, it's like Indiana Jones. Like, Spider-Man's become a little bit more of a distinct sellable element than, say, if you look at the way the new Avengers, what's it called? The last one they've released with the sort of B Avengers team. What's it called? I can't even remember what it's called. It shows you what's stuck.
There you go. That's the problem.
Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts is a pretty good. That's a pretty good movie. I like that movie a lot. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah. It's an entertaining good movie as opposed to the many of the movies that I didn't like.
It has good visual effects in it.
It's some very good visual effects in it, as a matter of fact. But I really enjoyed it. But I still, I would have enjoyed it more if I weren't in a sort of like a more spent frame about Marvel itself, because they had, like you're saying, Todd, it was just like I kind of ran out of gas on my support for Marvel. Like, I was just like, I'm just a little overexposed. I've watched too many that I was like, meh, and they all kind of feel samey. And so I go into Thunderbolts and I'm not super excited, and it doesn't super excite me back into being positive, but it was enough that I was like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. Whereas like Spider-Man is like, well, yeah, we like Spider-Man. Like, that's like an Indiana Jones movie. And I'm totally psyched about this again.
Also, Tom Holland is
and Zendaya, right? Who are also in the Odyssey. So there's a little bit of like, there's a lot of momentum going into that project. And I think that there's I think that there's something good to be said about people are not actually tired of superheroes, like, as a thing. Like, what they are truly tired of, and you sort of touched on this, is like, they're tired of not getting their money's worth. And I think that there was a little bit in the back end of the last Marvel phase where it wasn't really, because it's like $50 to go to the movies, minimum. And if you're taking your kids and all that, it's like hundreds of dollars, And I think that the energy is just like, well, it's going to be on Disney, so I'm just going to wait.
It's going to be on Disney in like 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah. And whereas, like, I think that one of the things that happened this year, starting with like Hail Mary and all this, you had people, if we fully come out of the COVID experience, and all of the kids meaning under 30 for us, all the kids who were traumatized by having to be locked in at home are now going back to going out and seeing things with their friends and going, oh shit, it's really good and fun to go to the movies with your friends. And I'm like, yeah, it is, and everyone's getting riled up about it again. And it's on like, this isn't just happening for all the movies, the top end movies, like
re-releases
like Interstellar do big business. you know? And so I think that there's a tremendous go to the movies, go to see it because it's an event you can spend time at with your friends.
But it has to be worth it, right?
That's what I was coming to. It has to be worth it. It has to be worth it when you go because it is expensive.
And you can't just throw dollars to make it worth it because obviously that's not the solution.
It's got to be a good movie.
Real quick, like just throw some numbers out there. North America box office hit $6.19 billion for 2026 as of August 2nd, and that's a 15% growth year over year, right? And that's big. Right. Universal became the first studio to cross $4 billion worldwide in 2026. Disney followed days later. So this is big. Like there is a lot of the irony is that suddenly we're actually seeing growth in movies while everyone else is claiming doom and gloom, which is not. The two things exist in reality next to each other.
The movie industry is destroyed, yet movies we're also back.
So it's not, well, it's the studio system that's being destroyed, right? I mean, I just saw a Twitter post that I put out there where someone says, I just called my CAA to find out if my agent still works there. And this has become an ongoing thing where the agents, like people are like, I don't know if I still have an agent or not if that person works there. Like the middleman mentality of Hollywood is kind of disappearing. So the studio system, the way it's built, where everyone is trying to get a piece of the pie, like it's gone, right? Yep. So I think that that's an interesting thing. All right. This is anything else before we move to the next subject on this?
I have so many things to say. This could be a podcast unto itself, so we should probably just move on.
It could be, but there's a lot. There's a lot going on. I mean, just catching up. We catch up on this subject every time we do one of these rough cuts ones. But I think it's interesting to think about where the studio system's going and what it is. But Spider-Man was like, oh, here you go. So just because we said superhero films are not going to be big doesn't mean that superhero films aren't big.
Yeah.
Right. But they're not the only thing that are big.
I'd like to add two things. One is that ticket prices have gone up. So attendance may not be going up, but the value is going up.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And two, filmmakers like Nolan and now Spielberg are negotiating for their theatrical windows again. So you don't have a streaming release close to the theatrical release. You give it time.
Yeah, and especially Nolan has enormous leverage in this, like absolutely radical leverage. So like,
and that's good.
He is a brand. He's managed his own brand perfectly, and like he's like, my name is Nolan IMAX, and it's one thing, and you don't get me without this, and that's the way it's going to go. And then
and it's going to be really expensive, but it'll be worth it, right?
And I shoot this in 3-minute chunks.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yes, absolutely. All right, real quick, we're going to talk about the Kit Bash acquiring ArtStation and Sketchfab. Now, a couple of notes here. I love the Kit Bash 3D guys. They used to be sponsors of a podcast not long ago. They had to step away from sponsorship, which is totally fine. I still love those guys. Max and Banks are fantastic people, and I'm actually curious to have them back on a podcast to discuss this specific thing. But Kit Bash 3D acquired ArtStation and Sketchfab. Now, this is interesting in itself. Let's talk about those two products real quick and who owned them. So first of all, Epic owned Sketchfab and ArtStation, right? Mm-hmm. Which falls way outside of the game industry. I mean, or a video game company, right? Mm-hmm. It's not not way outside. Obviously, it's peripherally related because it is 3D art, et cetera, et cetera. But this was at a time when Epic was buying all kinds of random things, right? Mm-hmm. And now it looks like Epic is shedding themselves of all this random things that are not specifically game related, okay? Right. That's the first thing that's to note. The other thing to note is at one point, ArtStation was one of the biggest websites on the entire internet, okay? Right. It was one of the highest numbers of people, like the highest hits of anything going, like we're talking competing with like Google, right? Wow. Like they were really, really, really big, right? Back in their heyday. And people will look at it with respect, et cetera. Also, one of the things that sort of happened at the time, especially during the acquisition with Epic and stuff like that, is right when the AI boom was happening, and the biggest thing that happened on the ArtStation site was the people posting. There was many screenshots of it, of AI with a big slash through it, right?
Right.
People were posting this on their ArtStation accounts so that it would be on the homepage of ArtStation and basically reflect that none of the people in ArtStation wanted AI art on ArtStation or to be ripped off by ArtStation, right? And on top of that, the number one prompt on Midjourney was "as seen on ArtStation." Okay, so this is an interesting concept, right? And so I actually don't really know what's been going on with ArtStation. Still very much alive, obviously, but it is kind of an interesting concept. One, what do you guys think about? And Sketchfab is essentially the 3D version of ArtStation in a lot of ways. It's how you put your stuff out there. I love the Kitbash 3D guys. They're very well known. They started off as an ad set store. Max was on my podcast when he launched Sketchfab 3. I'm sorry, Kitbash 3D, and I was excited about what the motivation behind is. They're obviously Kitbash is, they acquired Grayscale Gorilla. Now they have ArtStation, Sketchfab. This is an interesting move on their side. That's one part of it. And the other one is, why did Epic dump all this stuff?
Yeah,
so what's your guys' thoughts on all that?
It was kind of like a fire sale. Like we're selling this for super cheap because Epic is obviously a multi-billion-dollar company, and Kitbash, I suspect, is not a multi-billion-dollar company.
Right.
They have value, but not Epic value.
Right.
So it's garage sale kind of stuff?
Yeah. Because I can't, from what I can tell, the financials haven't really come out on this, like what the sale was for and so forth. But
well, if it's below a certain value, they don't need to disclose that, right? So,
but still, that asks the question: what was the acquisition from Epic when they first bought ArtStation and Sketchfab? What was the investment that they put into making it into Fab or whatever it was called? And then what did they sell it for? I suspect it wasn't for a profit, but Epic by their own languages, we're refocusing. We're not going to be the end all be all of all 3D. We're going to kind of focus on the platform and the development of the platform and so forth. And we're going to just release these asset repositories and so forth. I don't know what they're going to do with reality capture or anything like that, but it seems like they just kind of were like, this is not what our business model is like, so we need to get rid of it. Who do we get rid of it to, and for what cost?
But this is an ongoing trend, right? Because they got rid of, they basically let go of everyone who was working on their asset store. They got rid of a bunch of other people. And so this is all the non-gaming stuff, right? People need to remember, they're a game company above a game engine company. Yeah, well above a game engine company, right? And so many people sort of looked at them as like, this is the future of filmmaking. And clearly there's like, we don't want to have anything to do with filmmaking. Like, at least that seems to me like, based on the sale of everything they're doing, they want nothing to do. They need to make money in Fortnite. That's what they need to make money in, right?
Sure. And I guess it's kind of like, but we're a little bit, sorry, there's people outside playing.
Oh, no
and I
worries.
don't want to prevent them from playing. I just want to isolate them. We in the film industry are rather myopic about our industry. And this happens to everybody who's in the industry. We think that we're the most important industry, but if you look at
we're not what?
If you look at Autodesk,
I'm just saying, just to put this in perspective, we just talked about how box office reached 6.19 billion since October. So that's like
drop in the bucket.
Facebook poops that every day.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, film, I'll tell you. What film?
Yeah.
So if you look at Autodesk, media and entertainment is a very, very small portion
Tiny.
of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in going back to Epic, yeah, they make gajillions of dollars in this other industry that we're not part of. Now, a lot of your listeners are going to be a part of the gaming industry and so forth, but we're kind of film guys. So we're like, look at all these tools that we can use to make films. And they're like, sure.
Yeah. Right.
You guys could use that.
But there was a motivation behind this in the past, right? So their big push into the gaming or into the film industry happened during the pandemic, during the quote unquote metaverse craze, when they're like, oh no, it's all games and movies and all that stuff. Yeah. You know, and that's, you know, Facebook renamed their company to Meta, and Epic said, you know, Fortnite is going to be the new metaverse. Like that was a thing, right? So their motivation to get everyone to make their assets inside of Unreal was to put it inside of Fortnite. It had nothing to do with helping the film industry.
Right. Even though they did hire, you know, lots of film talents. They had Kim
but because they were making so much money back then.
Yeah.
They were making so much money. They're not anymore.
Uh-huh.
And the chickens are coming to roost. so you know, I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know, but it just, listen, I just want to make sure people are clear. I have huge respect for Epic, and I do think that Tim Sweeney is a very, very smart guy. I just think that people, when they say, oh, Epic is the new film or Unreal's new film tool, it's like, think about that. I don't know if that's true, right? I don't know if that's their focus. I mean, you can make it on your film tool, but it doesn't necessarily mean that Epic is going to be there to support you with your dream of making a film like it.
Well, and because I have a foot in video games as well, and and no, I have no special knowledge of anything. Anything I'm about to say may be total baloney. It's just me.
All of this is speculation.
All of this is pure speculation. But I feel like the game, because for the stuff I work on, I'm contractually obligated not to use AI for anything, and I'm perfectly happy to do that because I was making games long before any of that came along, and it's no sweat to keep on doing it the way that I did before. But certainly, there are a lot of aspects to game production that are going to be very strongly influenced by AI, and number one of which, NVIDIA's new chip is radically modify the way things are rendered in the game, frame to frame, and so when I look at things like how they work and how what the root, how games, what kinds of tools games will need, I wonder how they are restructuring their company to fit what they think is going to be needed later. Because it isn't going to be, I don't think it's going to be as centered in lots of super high res, ultra detailed models or anything like this. There's going to be an entirely new an entirely new pipeline that'll be much more streamlined. And some of this may be affecting what these choices are now in big, vague ways that they're trying to get a jump on the way the industry is shifting. And that may also be true for how they look at film production and stuff like that. I don't know how the Kit Bash people think. But I think that it's smart money because everyone has, all sorts of opinions about how AI will affect visual effects and games and all this kind of stuff. Nobody knows anything in the immediate sense, but I think it's fair to say this is going to move things around in a big shuffly way, and we have to try to be nimble enough that we are in a good position later. And I suspect that some of this might be that. Sorry if that's vague, but I think that there's some long-term thinking going on that's a little harder to parse.
I am not going to speculate as to why Kit Bash 3D bought them. I do see that they saw value in there. I do. ArtStation, like I said, ArtStation was once one of the most the biggest site on the internet, and there's no reason why it can't be that again. I don't know what the goals are for Kidbastard D. I am not going to speculate on it. In fact, I did write an email to Max and Banks that, hey, I'd love to have you on. They obviously have to manage their PR very carefully in this situation, so I'll leave it up to them to respond. Nonetheless, I think that they, I would be very curious to see where they see this and what their goals are. So I'll be watching this very carefully, and I will definitely be going to ArtStation more often. I haven't been there in years, to be really clear. I used to go there all the time. I haven't been there in years. So now I'm curious, like with that in mind, what's it going to become?
Well, yeah, because I all I mean to say is just like that. I know there's a very big popular war back and forth over all of this stuff right now.
Right.
But I think that anyone who's designing where their large-scale, expensive businesses are going is like, well, things aren't going to be working the way that they have been working, and we have to try to predict how we will make money 5 years down the line.
Right.
And that's going to make you make different base decisions.
Right.
And that you can't really explain to the public right now without them freaking out. So just keep it vague.
Yeah. For sure. All right, we need to move on because we're gonna otherwise be a very long episode. Okay, Siggraph 2026 happened. Obviously, I went to Siggraph. Todd went to Siggraph. Daniel went a little briefly. This is so different a Siggraph from the Siggraphs that I remember from the 90s. Not to say that it shouldn't be, but of course, I just remember when Siggraph was at the convention center, you'd be at the West Hall and be a freaking banner at the side of the whole building that said Siggraph 2026. Now it's like literally something that's like I could stretch out with my arm just hanging down.
Yeah, it's like it's like a coffee stand over on the side of the right. It's like Siggraph.
I don't.
So cute.
And this is, by the way, that is not a slight on Siggraph. That is just the situation that's in the industry. Several things have happened in the industry.
For 20 years, everyone's been trying to get me to go to Siggraph. And the legends of this are so gigantic. I mean, just like the stories I heard were like, this is like from a John Landis movie in 1983. I don't know what you're talking about. But it's not that anymore.
It's not that anymore by any stretch of the imagination. So obviously, there's several things that affected it. Apparently, attendance was way down internationally because a lot of people were afraid to travel to the United States. Because of the political climate in the United States, which I also thought was fascinating. Or people just said, fuck the U.S., right? So I get it. And then obviously, generally, the industry is not necessarily very profitable, so people aren't necessarily paying for people to go to Siggraph in this area. Nonetheless, the thing that resonated with me with Siggraph was that its core business, which people seem to have forgotten, is academic papers and research. And that was very strong this year, as it was last year. So no matter how much Siggraph shrinks, the amount of papers and research that are released at Siggraph, especially in the AI world, was huge. And when I looked at the names of all the papers and releases, the names were long, and about half of them of all the names seem to be Chinese names.
Sure.
And they're all AI related, right?
Yep.
So that was a fascinating thing to me. What are your thoughts on Siggraph?
It did feel small. They didn't even have a carpet on the on the floor. They didn't even bother. But I think that the booths are less beneficial.
I did not even go to the booths. I hate to say it because I was too busy. But tell me, Todd.
I did walk around, and usually because Colin or SPR or someone had arranged for me to go to talk to somebody. Right. There were very few booths that I just stopped at because it felt interesting. Right. And so the products, I don't think have as much value anymore than they used to be, because we're getting all of our information from other sources, from the internet and from word of mouth and so forth. So you don't need a big Maxon booth describing the new sculpting tool they have and whatever. And some of it is rather lackluster in my opinion, because the software developers, Autodesk and Maxon and so forth, they've been around for so long that the development cycles for those products are so comparatively small now.
Yep. Right.
It's like, we've made this faster. We added this node, that type of thing. One difference is side effects. Side effects seemingly has mind-blowing things every time they have a full release of it. But the larger companies, especially when they're run by corporations, their development cycles become very, very slow and very, very
the product's mature.
Yeah.
And so like when you get new, say, updates on Photoshop, you're not gonna be like, we've no more layers, it's all gonna be blah. Like, nobody does that. It's just going to be Photosh with a little bit of
exactly.
weird.
We've tweaked this. We've added Firefly to it. That's the thing. And NVIDIA had a big showing there with a line up to it. I never saw what that line. I could have been conflating that line with the line to get teapots at Pixar. But a lot of this stuff, and there was a demonstration stage in the middle of the floor, which was kind of distracting because I was listening to demonstrations behind me and I couldn't hear what was on the stage. Regardless, the things that you're going to be interested in, and the companies that have interesting things are taking you to their suites in the hotels or making places for you to talk. That's
special
not
rooms, special presentation.
A bunch.
It was actually cheaper
to
get rooms than to get a booth, right? So
that's wild.
I'm sure. I'm sure. But like the Foundry has cool things like, okay, we acquired grip tape. Here's how this works.
Right.
And that's an interesting concept to me.
Right.
As opposed to we have a new roto tool, which is also interesting, but it's not as interesting as we have this whole thing that's basically Comfy UI in a bigger wrapper.
Right.
But it's something to talk about, and those companies that have those things don't need to necessarily be on the floor. I went to a room with like World Labs, for instance, and it was much better just talking to them one-on-one and getting information and asking questions than it was with a mass of people walking behind me and trying to focus on what they're talking about. So I think that the reduction of the exhibition floor is just a result of that the value of the exhibition floor isn't as great as it used to be.
Interesting.
That's my take on it. But I agree with you, Chris, that the real value there's two real values in Siggraph. One is the academic papers, and two are the people that you meet and network with.
Yes, but I always seem to just run into the same people over and over again every conference.
You just have to ignore your friends.
See the other people. Yeah.
Well, there's an interesting there's a side note, which is that both what do you call it, Comic-Con and Cannes, two entirely different festivals from Siggraph, both kind of reported the same thing, which is like Comic-Con is very, like, because the superhero movie train is on the wane, Comic-Con, like when I talked to our friend Ben Hansford, like he was like, this is actually my favorite Comic-Con I've been to in a while because like it's way smaller and more specific, and like the things that are happening, the deals that are getting made for licenses are starting to return to actual comics and interesting things that are interesting to the original source people. Instead of like the incredible Hollywood super event that it became. And likewise with Cannes Film Festival, that all of the deals are now really being made in the rooms. This is where all this is happening now. Everything is much more discreet and sort of tightly managed than previously. And I wonder what has happened in a global sense that there seems to be, like, those things I think are probably related in some vague but important way in how we are managing media and what our media intake is.
Right.
You know, because I feel like with visual effects in particular, like it's very, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but like I think it's hard to have a conversation about where VFX are going right now that isn't hot button. And
for sure.
And so people don't want to be very public about that. Like, like they would rather have one-on-one private conversations, talk about white papers, and look a little bit longer term than deal with things that are going to stress them out.
Yeah.
And I think that for, said, the comic book people, like there's this palpable sense of like, oh, we get our comic books back now. Like, I think there's this sort of a retrenchment, which is smaller but positive in the long run, that may help grow things again. I don't know. Please comment on that. I have no idea if that's it's a real connection.
Yeah, I don't know if we've been around long enough for Siggraphs. I mean, it's been around for 30 some odd years, but is that right? Yeah, 30 some odd years. Yeah. But I don't know if...
No,
if
it's much longer than that. It's 50 plus years. It's been since the 70s.
Lord, really?
From the 70s. Okay.
Jeepers creepers.
So maybe it's kind of in its down part of the cycle. So I was going to say that we haven't existed long enough to actually see a full cycle happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we may be hitting that 70s site where things are much smaller and it's a much tighter group.
Well,
of
remember
people.
the heyday of Siggraph, and we need to move on after the summary. But the heyday of Siggraph was in the late 90s, right? And this was when when digital domain was growing, et cetera, et cetera. This is when tech companies at the time, they're not the same tech companies we have today. The IBMs of the day were pouring in SGI, et cetera, et cetera. They were pouring in money into the film industry, right? And it was because of things like Jurassic Park, et cetera, that sort of made it like, oh my God, this is amazing, all this technology, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And technology is always attractive, right? People were just throwing money at this situation. So the parties were huge, the booths were huge. By the way, all of that was fake. It had nothing to do with the movies. It had to do with the spectacle, right? And money brings spectacle. And after a while, it doesn't matter anymore. So during, as the movie industry starts to shift, that luster wears off. But the research is still there, and that's the thing. I think is so
core
important.
Element. Yeah,
the
I think
core element is the computer graphics is still a thing.
Because there's in Comic-Con, the core element is comics. That's why we had that whole industry that went for 20 years in film, is because people actually love these things, and that was actually being smothered by the movies.
Yes.
And I feel like the premiere, like when you talk about the Cannes Film Festival and now everything is being done in the rooms and all this stuff, like that is because Hollywood is completely reorganizing itself after the collapse of this current wave of franchise structure that we've been through.
Which has lasted too long.
Right. And part of what is happening because of that, at least in conjunction with that, is like, I always say, like, Hollywood didn't, like, for everyone who is, for all the job losses that have happened in Hollywood, that is not because of AI. That is because this business structure that we've had for 20 years of super investment in gargantuan IP has collapsed. And now we are trying to rebuild it from the ground up. But the problem is that when we come back, all the technology is also going to be different, and that may keep you out of a job even longer.
Right.
Like that is the big problem. So when I hear I took Cannes Film Festival, the Comic-Con, and Siggraph, all at their core have this sort of like step back to core principles, grow it up again attitude. Like that actually kind of gives me hope about that intersection again, because the people that are really talking, like the white papers, are where real things happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like that's the real deal. That's not the candy that whatever AI company is dumping on you. Like, look, you can make so and so talk like a robot. It's just like nobody cares about that stuff. That gets in the way of getting actual work done.
Yeah.
But like what real white papers by very smart people do change how things get done.
Yeah, and you may not see that change for a few years.
Exactly.
No, and that's just real quick. There was an interesting reporter that came from a big important publication, and he came to me and he was starting to ask me questions. He's like, "This is my first Siggraph," and he's like, "I don't know what's going to expect here." And then I was like, "Follow the papers. That's the future of what's going on.
Dude.
Follow the fucking papers. This is what this is all about. It's not about watching the how-to of Project Hail Mary. Although I love that. That's
super
not
cool.
what this is about. This is follow the papers." Yeah,
that's right.
Follow the girl, Mr. Gitz. Follow the girl.
Follow the girl.
Sorry, that's a little bit of a Chinatown quote for you. Okay, we got to move on real quick. Todd, we are running long. Do you have time? We can make this a long episode if you're cool with it.
I'm cool with that.
Okay, cool.
We appreciate it. We're also cool with it and appreciate it.
I might skip the last subject, but I do want to hit this one specifically, and this is about EU. The EU has put it into law as of August 2nd, 2026, that you need to put some kind of machine-readable provenance marking into anything that is AI-generated video. I am curious as to first of all, let's define a couple of things here so that people know this, because there's a lot of misconceptions about the word provenance. Provenance is specifically, where does it originate from? That's what it means as a term. And a lot of people think that it means that you can trace back all the things that the AI used to train it to make that prompt. And that is not necessarily correct. It just means what tool created it and where did it come from and when, right? It's much more specific. And it is mostly described by the C2PA. C2PA stands for the Coalition for Context, Provenance, and Authority. And that is backed by a group of people, including Adobe, Microsoft, Google, Intel, BBC, Sony, and others. And that is basically saying this is a credential that allows us to identify something that you used AI to generate it. Okay, so this is now mandatory in the EU, right? Let's put it into, not necessarily to say this is completely comparable, but EU puts a lot of restrictions on, like, the people don't like cookies, right? So now we have to have this big old thing that comes up every time you go to a website, says, this includes cookies. Are you okay with that, right?
I thought you meant like cookies. I was like, who doesn't like cookies?
Well, this is a thing.
I love
cookies. They put it out there, and what do people do? They just hit okay. Right? They don't even think about it. It's like, this is getting into the way for me to look at what I need to do. Even though they're like, everyone goes, I don't like websites tracking me. Cookies. I'm okay with it. I don't like websites tracking me. Okay, I'm okay with it tracking me. Moving on.
Unless it says you need raisins in your cookies, and then it's a hard no.
Yeah,
exactly.
So
why even ask me? Don't ask me again.
This is interesting.
Radio button.
now that it has this thing where you have to say this used AI content, right? What does this mean? Does this mean that if you make a movie that used AI in it, you're going to have a C2PA certification in it? Because a lot of people are pretending there's no AI or CG or whatever in movies. And I'm wondering if, hey, you guess what? The Dune movie you loved so much, or the Chris Nolan movie you loved so much that said they used no AI or CG.
Yeah.
There's a check mark that says they used AI and CG in it.
But where does that check mark live?
I don't know.
That's kind of, it needs to be machine read, right? It's not a visible watermark. It's not a...
That is, yes, and that's correct. But you need to be able to identify this. But mostly it's coming into social media, right? So if you go on Facebook and you're looking at a video, you can be like, oh, this contains AI content. You just have to be aware of that.
I think there's a distinction as far as like deep fakes go versus fictional and satirical and our stuff, movie stuff, as far as whether you are trying to convince the audience that this is real or that it's a fictional context. I think
who is going to make that distinction automatically?
I realize that this is a problem, but there is a distinction with it. And also, by definition, when you're making a movie, you're trying to convince the audience that it's really happening.
Yeah, we're in the business of tricking people. That is
right, exactly
what we do.
so that distinction gets a little bit thin, but there is that distinction. You're not trying to convince someone that this senator said a specific thing, and then ran off stage naked.
Mm-hmm. He said something completely different and then ran off stage naked.
Right, exactly. That's different than somebody who's a superhero or somebody who gets in a spaceship and flies off.
Right.
But I don't know how they're going to. I don't know how they're going to police this, because the EU is, again, a very small subset of the world.
Yeah. But you know what? Okay, let's take a step back there. You're correct, but they have generated enough laws that have changed the tech industry. Most people's iPhones now have a USB-C port in them, and that's because of the EU, right? Their repairable batteries are going to become a thing that if everyone in Europe can't buy a phone because it doesn't have a repairable battery, trust me, Apple is going to change it so that people can have a repairable battery so they can buy their phone in France. Right.
Okay.
So there is enough distinction there to make that a reality.
Though, too, just to build on it slightly, like both of those things are things that I also want to be true for iPhones, and it's a selling point that they happen, right? Which is not necessarily true for this. That goes two ways on making a law like this. So it's whether or not there's
and in the case of this AI stuff. That you can have different flavors of models in different regions, so that your Chinese model, it can do stuff and it won't write the thing in, but your EU model has that capacity and it writes that thing in. Then somebody
because it gets it. That's a great point, because it gets into like, if you look at the side of I don't know, like Kraft macaroni and cheese, like it says like made with real processed cheese foods or whatever it is. Like you're just like, wait, does that mean cheese or no cheese? Like, what is this stuff? They'll do anything if it causes a business problem for them, they're just going to find a way to rephrase this so that it's now legal. Like that is more than likely what they will do.
It might be, or maybe there'll be ways to circumvent it or to redefine what AI is or whatever it is. But I mean, the C2PA was generated as I'm going to say, call it goodwill by the industry to be able for people to distinguish what it is.
Well, can I ask you this then? It seems like part of the problem is that AI has become, like, just the phrase AI now encompasses so much. Like, it's so vast, when that's actually many, 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 many different kinds of things.
It is. Right? And this is mostly about video content, specifically generative video content.
Right.
Yes.
And so when you talk about that kind of stuff on social media, like, I mean, like I'm all for it. Go for it. Like social media itself, as the way social media works, already has this problem before whether or not the video is, quote, real or not. Like, it is built to recontextualize things so that they are at least positioned in a way to take advantage of you. Like that's what social media is. That's how they make money. So like if there's anything to say, like I would love, like social media itself should have like a big fat "don't smoke" label on the front of it, because it's extremely mentally dangerous to everyone.
That's actually happening right now. So because of there's lawsuits, there's one specifically in New Mexico that's about this is causing harm to children. It just came out. And honestly speaking, this is it. This is the same thing happened in the cigarette industry, right? You start going after the kids first, saying protect the kids, and then the adults is like, well, maybe this isn't good for me either,
The kids are like, what are you talking about?
Right? So at some point, this is what's going to happen, and then I don't know. Social media is going to change. It has to, right? It's going to have to respond. And the biggest take I can say is like Meta, Facebook, quote, whatever. They know that the Facebook and social media is coming to an end. Otherwise, why are they investing so much money into glasses and AI? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
They need to find a new revenue stream.
Right.
So they have to, and in fact, they're way behind on AI, which is why they're spending so much on it. But It's interesting to see this label happening right now. And this is an interesting thing. So,
well, I mean, the thing is, if it becomes like the one thing that we should be happy about vis-a-vis kids and the effect of this stuff on kids is that at very least by locking all of it down, it makes them so much smarter because they have to figure out how to work around it. Like they will crack the code. If it's like, man, like, because I know when I was growing up, if there was a way to see nudity on HBO, I was going to become an electrician to make sure it happened.
Even if it was scrambled.
Yeah, you found if I could invent the glasses that could de-scramble that HBO show, that would be fantastic.
So yes, we're making smarter kids by adding these walls in front of them. I think that's a good idea.
For sure. Okay, let's. I'm going to skip the last subject because we're going a little long on this. I was hoping to go only a half hour. We've gone 50 minutes already on these last two subjects, so I'm going to skip the last subject if that's okay with you guys. Let's move on to visual effects and ethics, which I think is a fascinating subject. So, Todd, you brought this up as a subject. I think it's a very good one. People should know this. Why did you want to bring it up as a subject? Why did you think this would be a good subject for the podcast?
Because I was supervising on For All Mankind. This was our last season.
Great show.
And I was just going through in my head as things were happening on set, going, oh, this is a good rule. This is a good thing to know. And so every time I came up with something, it'd be like, okay, I'm going to write this down. And so I came up with a list. Currently, it's about 45 different rules. So we're not going to go through them all.
Wow.
But, and that is a small list, but it's like, I can go through like just a few of them here, and I kind of categorize them as the job itself, the mindset and the priorities, and then knowing the production and the relationships, the on-set presence and etiquette, and the last one is more technical stuff. It's more about soft skills. And what it is to be on a set with 75 different characters that are essentially doing their own little thing to make this one thing happen. And what is your role in that?
Well, let's put a little context in general for a visual effect. If you're a visual effects supervisor and you're walking in on set, what are you faced with? Like who are the people you have to interface with, and how do you manage that?
Well, hopefully you've been introduced to the key people, but obviously
I have. I'm just talking about for my audience.
Yeah, the director is someone that you will that you will mostly answer questions from. But he's busy focused, on the performance and all of that kind of stuff. And so you're not going up to him saying, do you want a blue screen back here? Or can we get a blue screen? You don't want to bug him. The next person down from that, who is the key person to know, is the AD, who's the assistant director, who by an odd naming convention is not an assistant director. He's not assisting he's assistant to the director. He is the guy who makes everything, or the woman who makes everything run on set.
Yep.
Keeps the schedule, knows everything that happens. Yeah.
I always joke that when you're directing, it's important to remember that the only person who isn't necessary is you. The movie will get made if you don't show up. I promise.
The assistant director is the one that is essentially the massive person that holds all the keys, the time,
getting the thing done today.
Is responsible for everything that needs to go. Did this happen? No, we only have 10 minutes to do this shot. You guys better get it done. It's
If you need balls and charts, you tell the AD, I'm going to need balls and charts for this, and he will make that happen. And so he is your best friend. He is the person that you want to have the best relationship.
Also, the person that's going to yell at you if you take too much time.
Guaranteed.
Yes. we just don't have time for that. Can we skip this part? And then you have to weigh that. Then there's the DP and his team. So you have the DP, the gaffer, the key grip, and frequently now the DIT. That group of people are all together on set around the DIT station.
Right.
Because the gaffer and the grip are waiting for instructions from the DP to say, okay, we need a light here, we need a light here, the camera's going to be here, I want these silks here, I want some blacks over here. And then they go into action. The gaffer is working with the lighting team to get all the lighting stuff up. The key grip's working with the grip team to get all the C-stands up, all the flags, all of everything that needs to happen to make the shot work with what the DP wants. And the key grip and the gaffer are essential for you to know because they're the ones who are going to be setting up the green screens or the blue screens or the lights, or I need this, I need this, I need this. And they will make sure that happens. Mm-hmm. So you don't do anything except tell people what to do. You don't touch anything. You don't move anything. You just let people know I need this done, and then they will get it done for you. This is on a union shoot. This is not on an independent, like there's 15 people there. Right. This is on a bigger shoot. So those are the people that you run into.
Explain what a DIT is, so some people might not know.
The DIT is the digital imaging technician, mm-hmm. and he is working with the DP. He has his own setup that are getting feeds from the camera so that you can see what's going on, and he's making little tweaks to color and so forth that is then recorded and passed on through the metadata to the Daly's house so that the color
almost like your on-set colorist and view station in some way.
Yeah, basically. So my first rule is don't be a dick.
Good rule.
And that's kind of a general life rule. Mm-hmm. But I remind myself of this all the time because I'm inherently sarcastic. And sometimes that comes across as punching down on somebody if you don't know them, mm-hmm. or if they're in a bad mood or something like that. So just be kind and understanding and empathetic with what everyone else is doing, and saying, I know you're busy, but do you have a second? And then we say, I'm just planting this seed in early, just so that in 20 minutes we can talk about it again. These types of things and when someone comes up to you and they're asking what you perceive to be a dumb question, you do not respond sarcastically, mm-hmm. because you're the specialist in in visual effects. Mm-hmm. Everyone else may have their opinions about what needs to be done, and they could be ignorant about what those opinions are. But it's a matter of educating them and not demeaning them for not knowing the answer.
And also don't give them an extremely long answer that could distract from the time that you have.
Right.
Yes. So basically, don't be a dick. Number 2 is that you have to adapt. So my favorite quote, which I think came from Eisenhower before D-Day, was that planning is essential, but plans are useless. So that you have your storyboards, you have we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and then the special effects guy is going to come in with this big rig, and then it's going to do this, and everything's going to be great, and then that rig doesn't work or breaks, or the actor can't roller skate, even though there was a thing on their resume that said they could. Mm-hmm. All of these things change, and you have to be open to adapting to the situation. And so that is just a matter of quickly assessing what you need. Mm-hmm. And if the AD is coming up and saying, this isn't working, we've got to come up with a different plan, we need to right now, it's absolutely okay to say, all right, give me like 45 seconds to mull this over in my mind, and let me just kind of assess what the situation is. Mm-hmm. Because on set, you're moving and moving and moving and moving and moving. You just got to let them know, I just need a minute, and then we'll get this done. And then you go, okay, have them perform this way, clear out, we'll get an empty plate, we'll get an HDR, and we'll protect for this. And as long as you're communicating with them, as long as you're not going blah 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 blah,
right,
then they don't lose confidence in you.
Right.
You say, I'm on this.
Yep.
Just give me a second. And then you adapt.
Just shoot a blind blue screen, and then we'll do the rest CG.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is like,
that.
on the stuff that Chris and I have been shooting, like some of the best stuff that we've done is because we couldn't get it the original way, or we thought of something that we were like, oh, this isn't working. Well, we have to come up with something else, and it's because everything is like he's running such a tight show that we have the ability to correct for things, like we're not instantly crunched for time and crushed, and because the planning is good, you do something that is in line with everything that fits. And it's sort of like a friend of mine, an actor friend of mine, was explaining his view on rehearsals. He's like, rehearsals aren't so you remember your lines; they're so you know what to do when other people don't remember their lines. Like that's when you have to learn to really get back on track. You have to help everybody else get back on track.
Yep. And rehearsals are also to show the rest of the crew what we're doing. So that they can be involved as well. Number 3 is that you are on alert always. Once you get to the set, you are not there just for visual effects, the planned visual effects. You are there for all of the shots, because normal shots can become visual effect shots if they go wrong.
Quickly.
So you see reflections of the crew, you see a boom mic, you see a boom shadow, you see that the person's costume is wrong.
Right.
You see that they're not wearing glasses in this, and the script supervisor hasn't caught it. You're watching all of that all of the time.
Absolutely.
I have people say, "Why are you so tired all the time?" you're just there for the visual effect shots, right? And I said, "No, I am
every
on
shot,
all
the whole thing. I'm working
every
6
shot,
full-time jobs and one job."
That's the thing. It's like, I love Janelle dearly, and she's the one who comes up to me and is like, "Chris, do you see that?"
No
shit.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the whole thing,
let's
man.
put that in the notes. And that's another thing, right? It's like, that's your best time to put it in the notes. So the script supervisor is like, this a flag, this is a visual effect shot now,
Right.
And it's like, let me just shoot some balls and charts for that,
exactly.
just to cover us later. Because you got to make a decision. Keep in mind, like, you know this, you have to make decisions in the next 2 minutes that's going to affect 6 months of work.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So in conjunction with that you are on all the time, you want to stay off your phone as much as possible. I'm completely guilty of this. So, like, full admission.
And Crafty Apes is delicious, but that's not the place to be.
And so that is also part of if you need to leave the set, if you need to go to the bathroom, if you need to go to Crafty, if you need to take a phone call, etc. You let the AD or the PAs or whoever know, I'm stepping away for 5 minutes. I'm right outside the studio in case you need me, so that people know where you are. That could be your own team. So if you have a wrangler and so forth, you could go, okay, I'm 10-1, which, by the way, if you're not on set, that means you're going pee. And they'll go copy that, and then they can respond if somebody calls for VFX. Which leads to the next one. When VFX is called on set, you need to have almost a Pavlovian response to that. If you hear the word VFX, you need to pop up and go, okay, what are we doing? Because people are talking about VFX without you there. And you need to be involved in that so that you can weigh in, because back to number 1, not everybody knows about the intricacies of visual effects. Right. So you need to be there to go, okay, that's a good idea, or that's a good idea, but we need to do this as well. But if somebody calls for VFX, like Todd VFX, we had a stunt person also named Todd. So he was just Todd, and I was Todd VFX.
Nice.
And so every time I heard that, I would be like, out of my chair, what do we need? And
it's hard. You got to realize, like, trying to pay attention for 10 to 12 hours a day is hard.
Yeah.
And so every now and then you do kind of sit down and not realize you're looking at your phone.
Oh, right, exactly.
And you're like, oh, crap. Because it's having 100% attention for 12 hours is tiring. So, so you just have to develop those others, like, I got that Pavlovian response, like something's happening that needs my attention. So I need to get away from my mind.
Yeah, because like directors will do dumb things. I'm not saying I've done this twice, but like they'll be like, oh no, we'll just green screen that. And meanwhile, they also know simultaneously that there's this huge, beautiful lens flare in this shot that's screwing that possibility out the window. Like, and you just go, oh yeah, that's not going to work. And that's going to be horrible. We're going to have to roto all that. Mm-hmm. But now it's done. Now it's in the can.
I do remember at one point I was working on this commercial and it had a miniature, and we're using this little periscope lens, and they were trying to make this car go down with a periscope lens, and they were trying to keep it. They were trying to do it like not handheld, but like manually in some ways. And it wasn't stable, and they kept trying to make it, and like, can you stabilize that? Like, and they were like, do this thing. And it was like, and then I was sitting there watching it. It was not good. I'm just putting it. I was just going like this. And then they finished the shot. And then all of the DP, the director, the producer, they all like just stared at me like, well,
say yes.
And I was like, no,
I don't want to say it. No.
Anyway, keep going, Todd. These are great. So
listening for the term VFX moves on to being aware of conversations that are happening around you, even if you're having a conversation with somebody. You're listening to everyone.
Always,
yes.
Because they could be having a conversation about VFX over here, and
you could be talking to the art department about VFX, and yeah.
Right, exactly. So you need to be aware of when people are talking about VFX stuff, and it could be any department,
right?
Because props could need some help. We need to paint out this wire. Is that cool? Mm-hmm. It could be costumes. It could be art department. It could be every
lighting, camera.
It is astonishing how many departments VFX assists with or touches in the course of a day. Measure the temperature on set when you're making the decisions. If you are in your 14th hour and something is going to take 20 minutes to repair, to shoot it in camera, and it's like an $800 paint out, don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. Just let it go, and we'll deal with it later, because you have 80 people who are just running the gas pump of money, and you're already going over. Everyone's on edge. You just got to make that call and say, "We're good. Let's move on."
Yep. We'll pay less for this later. Then
we'll take care of it later, so that we can get out of here, and everyone else is happy. And then I'll make this the last one. This is all of the kind of mindset priorities ones. And we can, in a future podcast, we can move on to the next set. The last one for this set is be patient when everyone is setting up for the shot. And wait until they are getting close to getting everything done before you start weighing in on stuff. Mm-hmm. Because you're watching what the camera is seeing, or you're watching them set up stuff, and you're noticing things like, oh, that flag's in the way. Oh, that thing is going to be in the shot. Just wait till
because they might move it again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They might move it again, but also everybody knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Have confidence that everyone here is a professional. Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. There's a line
at
from
the very end. You can go, hey, can we just move this a little bit? Or, this picture frame is reflecting a light. Can we just tilt it a little bit?
Right.
There's
something
a line
like that.
There's a line from Al Pacino and Glengarry Glen Ross that sticks in my head when we're shooting, over many different circumstances. But he always goes, never open your mouth until you know what the shot is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's absolutely true.
And that's perfect.
Yep.
So those were the kind of overarching etiquette things. Just
I love these because it really focuses down like the key elements of onset stuff for anybody really is like being really alert all the time, like which means like conserving your energy by not overreacting to anything, like be really sharp and attentive, be very be very flexible, which is because this is the nature of filmmaking. Like there's no set way things are going to go. They're all going to change, and it is like you're surfing. You can't plan what the waves are going to do. You have to be good at surfing. And and I think that your first one that sets it all up that I really can't emphasize enough that I agree with is being polite is so valuable and so cheap. It's so cheap.
Yeah.
Like just don't have to be nice. Just be polite.
Yeah.
Like say thank you. Be let people finish talking. Listen. Yeah. All these things. Just because like that is actually all the little like you pay a little respect to people all day long. That makes their day easier. Their day is easier. Your day is easier. It greases the wheels of everything. Do it as much as you can do it till it's unconscious, and your day will always go a million times better.
I think it's also like, be a good listener, but also a fast communicator, right? So it's like, right?
Efficiency, sure.
Efficiency, right? So it's like if you can communicate what you need very quickly and succinctly, so there's like, got it, right?
Yep.
And that allows everyone to move faster. If you're sitting there like, I'm just going to explain to you what ray tracing means, like that's not very.
We don't need to hear that.
We don't need to hear that, right? But if you guys and also like you said, listen, such an important part of the process.
Yeah. Filmmaking is an extreme, like it's so complicated, or actually it's so complex. I say like it's so complex.
So many moving parts, so many moving parts.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, and all these people have to be like, it's like if you brought an orchestra together and you are pretty sure you're going to be playing this song, but you're looking at everybody like, we are playing this song right now. You said that's you go,
right.
And trying to make that happen, takes an enormous amount of, respect and adaptability between everybody in order to pull it off. And I think that like what you're laying, I would love to hear the entire list because like what you're laying out here.
Have you thought about doing a blog post or a book on this or something?
Yeah, like because this is more than just VFX stuff to me. Like what you've said is like this is just really important for people to hear
just
about
life skills.
Yeah, I mean like really like
seriously
be polite. Really, it's a good thing, a life skill. But like for filmmaking in general, I think everything you've said just is something that it's rare to see it practiced as much as it should be.
It's also unique in some ways. I'm going to put, and let me put it this way, right? Like visual effects is so different in so many ways because we're not always responsible for what's happening on the exact day. We're responsible for what happens after that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, or
you're like the ghost of Christmas future. Like,
right,
please, Scrooge.
And so it's like, if we don't do this thing, which you're not going to see today, we're never going to get the movie done. And so you have to, people have to, like, you're not there like, they can't look in the cameras like, I see what visual effects has done. Right.
Yeah.
Except for in-camera visual effects, which I've become in love with because then
awesome.
You can fucking see it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
For sure.
Then the DP is like, that's how it's supposed to be lit. Done. Right. And that's correct. Right. And so that's the very rare case of ICVFX of like what happens. But most of the time you're like, I'm going to interrupt you for 20 minutes for something that you're not going to see for another 9 months.
Yeah,
right?
Where people can see their watches and they know what time it is, and they're looking at you like,
And so you're always this guy who's like, I remember I was on, I was at a party and I was meeting this grip who was there and we're talking. He's like, oh, you're working on videos, and he goes, oh, you're the guys who walk on with the Christmas balls. And I'm like, right.
We're the Christmas
I was like,
guys.
why,
That
why
also
the
sell
fuck,
your movie,
why
by
the
the way.
fuck do I have to have this guy with this Christmas ball that comes up on the screen all the time?
Right.
It's like, and interrupts me for like 20 minutes. I was like, all right.
Right.
Everyone stop moving for 5 minutes while some guy with a camera and a big fisheye lens
Well, this
takes
is
a bunch of
I
pictures.
know.
The same attitude toward the sound department when they ask for room tone.
Yeah, exactly. Why? What are we doing?
Shut up.
Don't leave me
What?
alone with my thoughts for 30 seconds. That's going to mess me up. It's terrible.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, no, I think that is something that I bang the drum on all the time, is that visual effects by our very nature is kind of on the back foot with everybody, because like we're like, oh, this is going to be really, really difficult and it's going to waste everybody's time on set. But don't worry, after we take it back to the cave full of gnomes and elves, it'll come back beautiful. You'll see. And then when you deliver the thing, which has all the spectacular effects that actually sell your show or movie, like we're also the ones that get made fun of at the Academy Awards because we're nerds. I'm like, just like, dudes, like, come on. Where's the window where everyone's like, oh yeah, like thanks for doing the work? But there is no sort of window of appreciation that fits for us. So, like we do stuff that is automatically behind the scenes all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that like it can be frustrating for people in this business to never experience the approbation that they truly deserve. So when you're working on set with everyone, like paying respect to your visual effects people, paying respect to your actors, paying respect to them, and making sure that everyone understands what everyone else is doing alleviates a lot of that. And then later on, they're like, oh shit, those guys did a really nice job. And this is why they asked me to wait until this could happen.
Yeah.
Like, and really understanding that it makes a big difference.
Yep.
Have you noticed? Let's just want to sort of move this to the conclusion. Like, have you noticed changes in attitude or changes in process? Like, do you need to shoot as many reflection balls, or do you somehow you still need to shoot reflection balls even though people don't use it as much?
Reflection balls only come into play if there's some CG that is going to be required later. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we don't really particularly need it. And even though doing balls and then getting an HDR, even like with some fast settings and so forth, can be 90 seconds, 2 minutes. But you do that 20 times in a day, and that's coming up to an hour of time that you're eating up. So you just have to be diligent, and they are very open to getting those things because they understand that you need them. At least the ADs that I've been working with on this show. Now, granted, For All Mankind is it's a visual effects intensive show.
Yeah, they know from the get-go what they're getting into.
It's not House of Dragons, but we still have a lot of visual effects that we have to do. So the ADs are very well aware of what our process is, and they will come up and say, "Do you need balls and charts on this?"
Right.
And we can look at it and go, "No, we're good. We can move on." Although this season he did say, "We are right up against the clock. If we go past 10, we go into,
golden time
or whatever. So we need to hit 2. Can we skip balls and charts? Yes, we can skip balls and charts.
Right.
And then I forgot to tell my Wrangler no balls and charts on it. So he's like, balls and charts. And the 80 just swung around and stared at me.
What are you doing?
And I said, no, it just no balls and charts, balls and charts. So it like ended right at that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
that's
let me,
an important thing. Make sure you communicate, even though you had a conversation with AD. You got to make sure you communicate it to everyone, right?
Yeah, it's kind of right, exactly.
I do want to hand it to you because, like, For All Mankind is a favorite show of mine, and like it's a beautiful, like you do. It's beautiful work throughout the entire thing. And the thing that I would love to add is that it's not just great looking work; it's really highly consistent great looking work, which is not true for many shows. Nothing helps buy-in in a show then like you don't even think about the VFX anymore because it's not like demanding your attention at all. It's just immersive. And I think that you guys were tremendously successful in that. It's really, really, really beautifully done.
Yeah. You should watch Star City too.
That is up next. I'm very excited about it. That's gonna be good stuff. Yeah.
Let me know what you think.
Will do.
Awesome. Well, listen, Todd, I appreciate you coming on. Did you enjoy being part of our rough cut conversations about all this stuff going on in the industry?
Yeah. I mean, we could have, like I said, we could have done an entire podcast on just topic one.
Right. Which we have done. So, we can definitely, I'd love to have you back because obviously people should realize, like, not only are you a very successful and amazingly talented visual effects supervisor, but you write about the industry, you're in tune to the industry, and you know what's going on. And that's a really big deal. Because it's funny, every time I talk to Todd, I was like, I don't know, am I talking to Todd, or journalist Todd, or VFX supervisor Todd, or so you're or product review Todd, who you do it all, and that's actually really kind of cool about you. So I definitely feel that you'd be a fantastic addition to our reoccurring guest on the rough cut stuff. So
I'd love to.
Yeah, I will definitely ping you.
I would say I agree with Chris.
And beware, by the way, that's going to be can you be on tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Here's your homework.
I see. Now I think you should write a book, like what VFX supervising has taught me about life.
Right,
and that will help the country out at large.
I learned to be in a VFX supervisor.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, I'm wondering if that Woody Allen movie is going to come and make a resurgence because that was a fantastic.
Oh, everything you want to know about sex, but we're afraid to ask. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, perfect. Done.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, sweet.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Todd. I appreciate it. And we will see you again soon. As we've just already established, you'll be back.
Yes.
All right.
Exciting.
Fabulous.
Thanks so much.